Hey y'all, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm doing a requested video of a view at all my goldfish tanks and also how my fish got their names. So this is the 120 gallon in my living room. It is the largest tank that I own. It has been set up since last September, I believe. Right now, the Ranchu you're looking at is from East Coast Ranchu. His name is Precious, and he got his name because I always wanted a fish from East Coast Ranchu, and that one was actually given to me by Alyssa in Tennessee. And so that's how he got his name. That's Damon. I named him after one of my favorite shows of all time, The Vampire Diaries. I used to be obsessed with Damon, and that's how he got his name. That's Comet. Comet is a bit of a defective Oranda. You can see kind of part of her tail is defective, but she swims really quickly, and that's kind of how she got her name, Comet. Eloise is there, and honestly, I don't even know where I got her name. I kind of just looked at her and decided that her name was Eloise. Couldn't possibly tell you where I came up with that. I just thought it was fitting for her. And now you're going to see Wiggles. Wiggles was the fish, one of the two fish I rescued last August. The owner was going to flush her because she didn't get along with his angelfish, which I thought was completely cruel. And thankfully, somebody that he worked with was good friends with me, and they rescued the fish and brought her to me. And she got her name because when she swims, she kind of has a wiggle. So that's kind of how everybody got their names. This tank runs off of 3 AquaClear 70s, and it also has 3 1-inch air stones in here. This tank gets 80% water changes just like any other tank I have every week. This is a 50-gallon bow front tank run off of 2 AquaClear 70s. You're seeing Malachi and Josephine. Malachi's the one that's having swim bladder issues. She's kind of always had those. Malachi got her name because I just liked the name Malachi, and I thought she was a boy, but she is indeed a girl. Josephine is the other one in here, and she is actually the eldest goldfish that I have right now, and I named her after Johnny, my first ever goldfish, and then she turned out to be a female, so her name is Josephine. This is one of my 60-gallon tanks. None of the fish in here are actually named. It's just one of my fry holding tanks. This will probably be the last time you actually see these fish because they will be shipped next week to their forever homes. I am happy to say that they all have been sold. So these guys were Knight's Fry. They were my first ever fry to raise, and I'm really excited to see how they grow in their new homes. This tank only has a sponge filter because they are just babies. I could put another filter in here, but I just never did. And the only reason that this one's bare bottom, most of you will know that I don't like bare bottom tanks, but between fry going to and from, I sterilize the tank, and it's just a lot easier to do that when there's not any substrate in here. So that's really the only reason. This is another one of my 60 gallons that houses my 2 East Coast Ranchu Orandas. So this one is run off of 2 AquaClear 70s as per usual. I have a lot of AquaClear 70s. They're my favorite. This is Dodge. He got his name from my grandfather. He had just passed away when I got these fish, and I just decided that his name was going to be Dodge. My grandfather loved Dodge trucks, so I named him Dodge. That is Sakara. I'm not entirely sure where I got Sakara, other than when I purchased her coloring is, and I'm probably going to butcher this name, Sakura coloring or something like that. And I thought what a pretty name it would be if it had an A on it, and Sakara it become. So that's kind of how she got her name. These two are the mother and father to both batches of my East Coast Raunchy Oranda fry. And they will be for sale probably around the end of April to the beginning of May. Speaking of their fry, here are the oldest. They're in a tank that you guys haven't even saw yet. It's very, very new. It's a 29 gallon and it's running off just a air stone. When Knott's Fry sell next week, these guys will move over to the 60 gallon, and then the youngest fry, who are 2 weeks old, will move in here. So speaking of the youngest fry, you're not going to see them in this video just because they're just in a tote and it's really not that interesting. There's just an air stone with them and that's it. So that doesn't really count for a tank, but as far as this goes, there's 15 of these dudes, and I need to do a cull because I think I have one that I need to cull for a bad tail. But other than that, this tank, as well as all the fry that I have, all their tanks gets 90% water changes every other day. So here is the last tank. This is my third 60-gallon tank, and it houses my butterfly telescopes and one of my black moors. So you're actually missing a fish from in here. JoJo is actually in a tote right now because she's just decided to have swim bladder issues all of a sudden. So I'm keeping an eye on her, so she's not in here right now. So there's actually 4 fish that are supposed to be in here. So there's Queenie. Queenie was named by my mother. She wanted to name her Queen Elizabeth, and I hated that name. So I call her Queenie for short. And then Spike is the black moor in here. My dad named him because my mother got to name one. And I don't really know why he chose that name, but he did, so I kept it. And then Cleo is the calico in here. And I'm not really sure why I named her that, other than I called her jokingly Cleo Calico for a while, and then it just kind of stuck, so that just became their name. And that's kind of how all my fish got their name. So I don't know if this was the most interesting video, but it was requested that I do it because some people haven't saw all my tanks and a lot of things have changed, so that's kind of why I gave you guys a look. So the next video will be all about the fry, and that's all I have for you today, so I'll see y'all next time.